One of the nation's premier livestock shows has a new home at one of the premier livestock facilities. We are on location at Exarban, featuring the 4-H kids and their families, and seeing how this event is charting a new course in its new home after 90 years in Omaha. Plus team coverage of new ethanol options in central Nebraska. It's time to grow. It's one of the largest 4-H livestock shows in the country. It has a new home, but the focus remains the same, and that's our top story. Gentle whispers and kisses. Ralston Rip stands in the ring with her calf.
What's yours named?
Her mom runs one of the region's biggest cattle shows, but this calf came by chance.
It was just a draw out of the hat for which one you got.
That's what happens at the Exarban Calf Challenge, as this Kearney teen takes top honors for showmanship.
Started out pretty temperamental, so I was pretty happy and surprised today that he was able to act so well and cooperate and truly show the work that we've been putting in at home.
Work and play go hand in hand for the Stallbomber family.
It's a lot of fun.
12-year-old Abby works with an animal 10 times bigger than her.
She stands way taller than me.
Her mom and dad encourage their kids to do sports and music, but showing livestock brings unique experience.
When they get out in the show ring, they have to sell their calf and present it, explain why. They have to know why they're feeding it, what they're feeding it, what it's gaining.
It's a huge confidence builder. It's a lot of fun, and it shows other people that they're not just scary and big animals.
Showing cattle is an extension of ranch life.
And then you can put the beef, like the market animals, back into the food chain, as they call it.
Something these kids take pride in.
It makes me feel good inside.
In Ralston's competition, she's been sponsored by an Omaha family.
They may not be involved in it directly, but they certainly understand the importance of it.
And it all culminates at the Exarban Stock Show.
Have it all pay off.
Kids from 10 different Midwestern states showing their animals at Exarban. NTV's Rashida Kaba caught up with some local kids and has the story.
Exarban.
Now that I can finally say it, the second week of Exarban is here, and this is its first time at Fauner Park. But one thing still remains the same.
Seeing friends that we've only see maybe once a year at Exarban.
This is what we do as a family. This is our family bonding time.
For Megan Skabinski, this is her 8th year and her brother William's first. They train lambs, and they're pretty good, taking home ribbons at the state fair.
I got reserve champion sheep showman, so that was pretty cool.
I got 5th in showmanship.
Megan hopes her brother follows in her 4-H footsteps.
I've gotten some pretty big wins through the years and stuff, and I know he looks up to me a lot, so I hope he can learn from, I guess, my mistakes and what I've done, and he can go out and be better than I am.
Bill Landon has been participating since he was a kid and has passed it down 2 generations.
Once you've been through it several times, you kind of know the job you have to do.
Now that he's a volunteer, he can calm the nerves of first-time Exarban parents.
Oh, we're so nervous, we don't know which way to go. And you go, well, we've been there, and you try to reassure them that don't worry, you're not going to make any mistakes.
Training animals is a year-round chore.
I usually work with them once or twice a day.
Katie Eberl knows this all too well. She's been in 4-H since she was young, and this year she has a new challenge.
I would like to do well in Lamb Challenge. I worked very hard this year, but it was my first year. 15
participants get a sponsor who buys a lamb for them.
We have to record all of our feeding. We have to write stories about our experience and our vet bills and all that you've paid for.
Luckily for Katie, her sponsor lives in Grand Island too, and she got a mentor out of it.
And away from Exarban, some news in ethanol. More flex fuel pumps showing up in Gothenburg as drivers cross I-80. NTV's Lauren Coomer has more.
A little mom and pop establishment now selling 5 options of blended fuels, including E85.
Local farmers, members of the Nebraska Ethanol Board, and even the lieutenant governor gathered to put ethanol blends into their cars.
Ethanol is going to help lead the way as we add more value to the agricultural products that we produce. Nebraska is number 2 in the country in ethanol production. There's a lot of room for growth.
A member of the Nebraska Ethanol Board says you can travel Interstate 80 for 272 miles and not find one blender pump.
E85 is available at some pumps, but not mixes or blends in mid-levels. Some people like those because they feel like their car performs better or gets better mileage. It's really all about how well your engine matches your fuel.
One board member says more use of ethanol will greatly help Nebraska farmers.
It's going to allow them to choose their own product, and it's best for the ag economy, the Nebraska economy, to choose the highest ethanol blend possible at all times. And that way we're actually using our own products. We're not sending money out of the state. We're keeping money in the state.
The lieutenant governor says environmental concern is a major factor.
This contributes greatly toward reducing emissions, and we should all be thinking about that to leave a cleaner world for the next generations.
It's a good way to be energy independent for our country and keep our money right here at home.
Blue Heron Renewable Flex Fuel was selling E85 for only 85 cents a gallon, so if you're close by, make sure to stop and get some fuel.
Biodiesel could take a hit under a proposal from the EPA. The agency announced plans this week to possibly lower the required amount of production of the renewable fuel for both 2018 and 2019 below the RFS standards of 2.1 billion gallons. Both Renewable Fuels Association and Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley have come out against the move. Now the Huskers have joined forces with ethanol, this homegrown fuel, in a new marketing campaign. 90,000 cheer on the Big Red. There's no bigger brand in the state, something ethanol backers hope to capitalize on.
What we want to do is associate that Husker name with a clean burning fuel that's grown right here in Nebraska.
Specifically a higher blend of ethanol, 15% instead of 10. Bosselman's calls it Clean 88. Others, American ethanol, or simply E15. Now many adopt the name Husker Fuel.
To bring about awareness of a homegrown fuel that you can get right here in Nebraska.
A consortium of ethanol producers, farm groups, and retailers backs the effort, spending their marketing dollars with IMG Sports, who holds radio rights and coordinates promotions at Memorial Stadium. Bosselman Enterprises was quick to sign on.
Our focus is about buying and selling Nebraska-based ethanol fuel. And 100% of the ethanol we buy is Nebraska-based.
And it's approved for more cars than drivers may realize. Any car built in the last 15 years can use it. More gas stations are carrying it, but there's an investment.
You have to be able to blend additional ethanol, and so we've been able to do that at the locations where we've actually put in blender pumps.
The product, called Husker Fuel, is a little cheaper at the pump with higher octane. And those in the corn industry hope the Husker brand convinces some to give it a shot.
We grow it, we make it right here in Nebraska. We should be using more of it here in Nebraska.
Switching to harvest, we're about 10% of the way here in Nebraska. The latest crop progress report shows 7% of Nebraska corn has been picked and 10% of beans have been cut. Corn continues to rate mostly good to fair, same for soybeans. Winter wheat planting is well behind schedule. Less than half the crop has been planted. Last week we talked about the challenges of palmer and other weeds, especially in soybeans. That was the subject of our poll question. We heard a lot this summer about dicamba drift and soybean cupping. Now that we're at harvest, what do you think of the dicamba concerns we heard this summer? Most of you say you were never worried. Some say it was a minor issue, and not quite 20% say it was a major issue. Now to this week's poll question. Thanks to Ethan for this suggestion. To all the people out there saying plant soybeans early, how early are you willing to go? The corn insurance date, 1 week pre-insurance date, on the insurance date, or 1 week past the insurance date. Follow us on Twitter, cast your vote. More from Exarban still to come, plus we celebrate 45 years of local control on water issues.